Yeah, I didn't put that sound in just to be cute. This guy actually is voiced by Akio Otsuka. And even kind of looks like him. Is Somebody Toy just a really big MGS fan? Because I'm willing to play along. This week opened with the Precure polishing up Lala's ship after having returned from a lengthy space adventure with their new teammate, who was literally gonna sit out most of this episode. Okay, I guess she really is gonna stand by her Six Ranger loner stereotype. Anyway, Hikaru arrived with some bamboo to celebrate the 7th of July, not the 4th like us. Yeah, this week's episode just so happened to air on Tanabata, Japan's Star Festival, which I have covered more than once on this channel. Shameless plug. Most recently, when I previewed this very series and pointed out how this day also happened to be Lala's birthday. Though, before anyone could question the validity of it always being July 7th, considering the length of days on Earth are probably different than on Lala's planet, Hikaru's aforementioned father had arrived. And apparently my Solid Snake reference was fairly accurate, as not only had he successfully snuck up on everyone, but he was also able to correctly deduce that everyone, including Lala, was an alien. Oh yeah, and he was also pretty much exactly like his daughter, hence the fascination with the paranormal. However, despite no one else bringing it up, Lala correctly pointed out that if their secret got out, they would be deported. Come on guys, I know it's been a while, but at least try to remember all of your important plot points. Anyway, Hikaru tried to convince her father to keep all of what he had seen a secret. I actually really like this scene, but I'll talk about more why later. For now though, Snake revealed that his real name was Yoichi Hoshina, an author of the paranormal that Madoka was familiar with, having read his books amongst all of her father's research. Honestly, a nice connection between the Precure fathers whose respective career paths kind of intersect. More importantly, it gave Madoka at least a pinch more characterization, because God knows when her or Eleanor are gonna get any more focused episodes. Anyway, Yoichi returned home to a warm welcome from his wife, mother, but as for his father, Harukichi... Ah, I see that the hostility between you and the big boss never really went away. To celebrate both Lala's birthday and Yoichi's return, they started setting up for a barbecue party, during which Lala asked Hikaru why she only got to see her father once a year, leading of course into a flashback. Through it, we learned how Hikaru developed her fascination with the paranormal thanks to reading about urban legends with her father. Like this one about a bipedal horse creature that lives in New Jersey. Wait, isn't this the Jersey Devil? Toy, you do know what the backstory to that thing is, right? You know, last week it was pointed out to me that I missed a great joke opportunity when talking about the literal birth of Uni's race and the new ED. So, to rectify it, I think I'll bring it up here. Toy? Do you just really want your target audience to learn about the birds and the bees as soon as possible? Anyway, satanic birds and rituals aside, Hikaru spent a lot of time with her father investigating more local myths and legends. However, it was clear that Yoichi wanted to travel abroad to see more of the world, including Okeanos, but didn't want to just up and leave his wife and especially their kid. However, that same kid wanted to encourage both her parents to chase their dreams regardless of her own happiness. But in spite of having the blessings of both his daughter and wife, the grandfather was a little less understanding, likely viewing his own son as a bit of a deadbeat. This concluded Hikaru's flashback, and in spite of clearly being aware of the tension between the father and son, she was just happy that her father found a career that he loved. And hey, this gave her a good opportunity to discuss this matter with her grandfather, and in turn flesh out her own character, or they could just have Lala talk to him. Huh. Okay, so in spite of the fact that this really should be a Hikaru-focused episode, we're suddenly shifting focus onto Lala? I mean, sure it is her birthday and everything, but it still felt a little odd, and yet kind of familiar at the same time. Huh. While partaking in some of Lala's donuts, Harikichi revealed that in spite of his son clearly being of age, he was still concerned about his son living abroad away from his family, but was too stubborn to admit his feelings. And honestly, considering his age and likely very strict upbringing in a country known for being very group/family oriented, it's no surprise that he would be against such new age ideas like families living apart. A good scene overall, even though Lala really didn't contribute much. Gramps then took a walk to the observatory, where apparently he was close friends with Ryo, even calling each other with a Chan honorific. What exactly is the age difference between these geezers? Because honestly, Ryo looks like the elder of the two. Well, no time to ponder that, as the Notaries had arrived out of nowhere, led by Tenjo and— Wait, this is a Tenjo episode? Oh, please don't tell me this was written by Yuka Yamada. Come on. Anyway, sticking to what's pretty much her MO at this point, Tenjo just decided to launch a random attack for the sake of fulfilling the show's Monster of the Week quota. Though thankfully we didn't have to see a geriatric being forced into a skin-tight gimp outfit and just skip to the fight. The Precure arrived on the scene along with Uni. Oh yeah, almost forgot she made her Precure debut last week. And yet, the show still treated her like a full-time member of the team. Okay, I will admit, the 5-member version of the transformation theme is pure ear candy, but does it really make sense from a character standpoint for Uni to join in on the full roll call, including the group pose? Just saying, it doesn't have the same impact as Toa joining her team's roll call. They engage the monster of the week and it's Grandpa Pants. Yeah, I know its main thing should be its laser eyeglasses, but come on, how many monsters of the week wear pants? Hikaru confronted the embodiment of her grandfather's insecurities over the idea that he had failed as a father and had allowed his family to fall apart after his son's departure. Considering that his current state of mind was at least partially her doing by encouraging her father to go, Hikaru countered his attacks with pretty much her usual spiel. Thank you for your generous contribution, Hikaru. And since her speech didn't really accomplish anything, the Precure were unable to join together to perform the Southern Cross. Thus it fell on Uni, and her old habits, to save the day with her finisher, which as I predicted was mostly the same, just a different color and symbol. And just as soon as the fight was over, she left, again bringing into question why she would even participate in the bloody roll call. They left the old man to be found by Yoichi, giving the father and son at least some reason to bond. With that, the Hoshina family and friends were able to have their little barbecue party. And again, instead of Hikaru being the one to have a talk with her grandfather, Lala talked to him about the story of the star-crossed lovers of Tanabata and related their once-a-year meeting to Yoichi and his family. Nice way of tying things together, and I guess it does make sense for the Cure representing the Milky Way to talk about this legend, but then again, this girl also only learned about this story a few hours ago. Well, anyway, the episode ended with Yoichi leaving again to further his studies, and despite his father's cold attitude, it was clear that he'd grown a little more accepting of his son's choices. In spite of my earlier freakouts, I will admit that, by default, this is Yuka Yamada's best episode. I mean, it's not great, it still has many of the same problems as her previous episodes, but at least it's a lot more palatable. First things first, I gotta say, I really like Yoichi. He's a fun dad who clearly loves his family and puts them first in spite of what his father believes. Going back to that scene that I talked about near the beginning of this video, I really like how it can be interpreted upon rewatching this episode. At first, it seems like it's just build up for a simple joke, but when you start to realize how much Yoichi had sacrificed for the sake of finding some trace of the paranormal, much of his research probably led to nothing, and who he was doing it all for paints a picture of a man stuck at a major crossroads. Hikaru was the one who encouraged him to pursue his research in the first place, and now that same girl was telling him not to do anything with the undeniable proof of the paranormal that was literally in his hands. Ultimately, he did the right thing and respected his daughter's current wishes, but he was also likely very conflicted. Character moments like this, Madoka fangirling over Yoichi, and learning how Hikaru got into paranormal stuff are interesting, but ultimately, this episode was brought down due to Yamada succumbing to bad habits. Let's address the obvious alien elephant in the room.
Oh, no. This again.
Much like Yamada's last episode, Lala was the cure who interacted with the victim of the week before and after he became a giant gimp. Thankfully, she didn't instantly fix Harukichi's issues like Toma's, but in that case, why bother having her interact with the old man as opposed to his granddaughter, whom he could have had some interesting talks about Yoichi with, as well as talk about the clear generational gap that was producing some very different ideal family structures between the father and son. Because at the end of the day, even if she meant absolutely no ill will, Hikaru was kind of responsible for the rift between the two. And yet, they never really addressed this. Heck, she doesn't even really interact with her grandfather this week outside of the Monster of the Week fight, and there she just spouted her usual stuff about family ties being unbreakable and all that. We get it, Hikaru is a sweet, idealistic little girl, but just showing her being good and innocent isn't really developing her character. Show her actually being conflicted over telling her father to remain silent about finding aliens, or have a meaningful conversation with her grandfather when he's not a monster. I understand that these secondary writers don't want to mess up Isao Murayama's vision, but when they start repeating previous episodes' plots like this, it becomes kind of maddening. While I am still leaning towards liking this episode more than hating it thanks to Yoichi and Harukichi's conflicts, I am also kind of getting tired of Yuka Yamada's repetitive writing. Hopefully this'll be her last episode, otherwise I'll dread the day when Lala is the one who tells Mr. Kaguya to loosen up instead of his daughter. I hope everyone had a nice 4th of July. Me personally, I managed to spend it with my family, and we had a nice little lunch. I also managed to see some of the fireworks. Kind of. I mean, my condo faces the opposite direction of the beach, but I managed to kind of see them in the reflection of one of my neighboring buildings. Yeah, I probably should get out more. Regardless, remember to stay hydrated this summer. You're gonna need it to get through some of those more humid days. Until next time though, farewell for now, my friends, and... Okay, understood. If you'll excuse me... I need a bigger box. Ow.